Hi everyone, welcome to my home in South Carolina. Today I'm going to be talking to you about creativity and a few myths that are around creativity. But first, what is creativity? Our friends over at Merriam-Webster would say that creativity is the ability to transcend traditional ideas, rules, patterns, relationships, and to create a more meaningful new idea, form, method, interpretation, and other things. So a good synonym for creativity is kind of like originality. Okay, so we've heard our whole lives about two of these myths about creativity that kind of have just left us not knowing what to believe, who to believe, and things like that. So the first myth is creativity is something that you're born with and cannot be taught. The second is inspiration and creativity cannot be controlled and comes to us in isolation. So now, let's break down those two myths. Number one. Creativity is something that that is born and that we cannot teach. This could not be further from the truth because studies have shown that creativity is a marriage or union of several sections of our brain working together. So actually creativity comes from, the frontal cortex or the hippocampus, and it kind of bridges every part of the brain together. So it is to say it is a skill that can be developed that does have some influence from our parents. But is a skill that can be fostered, developed, grown, and taught. Modern neuroscientists today deny that people have a sole hemisphere that can control, like, I'm left-brained or I'm right-brained. So if creativity comes from different areas of the brain, you cannot be solely left-brained or solely right-brained. Creativity comes in small steps. Saying that it is a birthright negates all the hard work that it goes into writing an essay, for your everyday English class, working out a math problem, or someone who develops film and literature and art and sculpture and all of those lovely creative things. So to recap the first myth, creativity is a skill that can be developed and taught, and our parents have a little influence over hereditarily. But not one section of our brain creates creativity, but several sections working together. So if we think about it that way, the advent of creativity is our whole brain or different parts of our brain working together to create one product. So creativity is a skill, not something that you're born this way. Number two, creativity and inspiration cannot be controlled when it comes to us when we're in isolation. So if we kind of think of like the creative genius, it's someone we see typing at a typewriter all through the night with one kind of light, little tiny lamp hovering over us. Okay, that's not really what creativity is. This is just a fantasy scene. Our text by Benedict Carey for this class talks about distributed learning and the need for spacing out between learning and studying. Creativity needs the same thing. Okay, when provided with a distraction, our brain has to connect what we've previously been working on with elements of the distraction. All of this, it connects things that it normally would not connect. This is called divergent learning or divergent thinking. This leads to those aha moments or the eureka moment that everyone is so famous saying, oh, I need one of those moments. Well, all those moments is just your brain continuously working, making those connections with divergent thinking, providing you with more creative examples and working out of the problems that you had before. Chuck Close is a famous photorealist who is quoted with saying, "Inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just show up for work." So creativity can be controlled through work and divergent thinking. Okay, so continue to make creative things, whatever you do. In a recent study conducted at the International Center for Studies in Creativity at the Buffalo State College in New York, the researchers found out that veteran writers with at least a decade of experience act more emotionally literate, unfiltered, and in more creative ways than the novice. There is much more activity in their interior frontal ura, which controls our emotional language processing skills. So this provides examples that experience and continuous work help to create those aha moments and to develop the skill of creativity. So continue in your creative education and endeavors. But should you do it alone? Does creativity only come in isolation? We think of creativity as an individual thing and image that lone persons burning the midnight oil long into the night. But is this true? Researchers have found the opposite. Pixar, the world's largest animation studio, use a method of what's called a creative roundtable to develop new ideas and characters for stories. So a creative roundtable is everyone just comes together, sits around, and throws up sketches. And then someone else will take it down and sketch something else onto it, or add another character trait or something crazy to it. And through this, they create all of their movies and all of their characters. You can kind of think about this again with the famous British literary group known as the Inklings. Famous people in that group were C.S. Lewis, J.R. Tolkien, Charles Williams, and some others. They used the same kind of process, meeting in all the pubs around town, and they would talk about their works and what's good, what's not. In fact, it's rumored to have been that C.S. Lewis actually inspired J.R. Tolkien to submit for publication what is now known as the Lord of the Rings. So, to recap all of the second myth and how we've debunked it, creativity is a skill that can be controlled and developed through continuous work and through creative anonymous support groups and roundtable discussions. So what does this mean for educators in our classroom? How can we develop our own creativity along with encouraging creativity in our students? Well, that's funny you should ask, or that I'm asking you this. There's 3 techniques that we can employ. One is distributive learning, actually creating projects that help and provide distraction to bridge those gaps, causing divergent thinking in our classroom. The second is to develop a tight daily schedule that allows for continuous work and development. Carrie talks about the importance of developing a daily schedule to keep us on task and to scaffold or stagger study and learning time. And the last technique is to give yourself and your students permission to create junk. Creative work is no different than going to the gym. You have to exercise your creative muscles, okay? After all, if the acorns stopped stretching for sunlight, we would have no mighty oaks. Finishing up, I just want to remind you all that you have to get out there, stretch your creativity every day, and share it with your friends, because that's the only way to keep debunking these creativity myths. Because you can do it, I can do it, and we can all do it together.